In this video, we will talk about the difference between moral standards and non-moral standards. In doing so, we will divide it into two parts. The first part will explain why it is important to distinguish moral standards from non-moral ones, while the second will differentiate the two. So without further ado, let's begin with the first part. First of all, it is important to note that different societies have different moral beliefs. And that, for this reason, some values may have moral implications for one society, while none for another. For example, the wearing of a hijab for women in traditional Muslim communities. For such communities, wearing a hijab is considered appropriate and modest. As a matter of fact, for some, showing parts of a woman's body, such as the face and legs, is considered immodest. However, in other parts of the world, especially in Western societies, most people don't mind if women barely cover their bodies. In fact, some societies glorify a sexy body and daring clothes. Western people may pity Muslim women for wearing a hijab, while Muslims may find women who wear daring clothes immoral. This clearly shows that different cultures have different moral standards. What is a matter of moral indifference for one culture may be morally significant for another. Now the danger here is that one culture may impose its own cultural standards on another, resulting in a clash in cultural beliefs and values. As we have seen in history, this is usually done with violence, such as in religious wars and ethnic cleansings. So how do we address this cultural problem? This is where the importance of understanding the difference between moral standards and non-moral ones comes in. Understanding that certain standards in society, the non-moral standards, are based on non-moral beliefs and values, allows us to avoid imposing our own cultural standards on others. In other words, if we know that a certain standard is based on a non-moral value, such as etiquette, aesthetics, etc., and is therefore a non-moral standard, then we do not have the right to impose it on others. However, if such a standard were moral, meaning that it is based on a moral value, such as not stealing or killing, then we may have the right to force others to act accordingly. In this way, we may be able to find a common moral ground with other societies, such as agreeing not to steal, kill, and deceive other human beings. Now, what are moral standards, and how are they different from non-moral ones? We have already discussed what moral standards are, in a previous video. Let's have a quick review. Moral standards are norms that individuals or groups have, about the kinds of actions they believe to be morally right or wrong, as well as the values they place on them. They usually promote the good, that is, the welfare and well-being of humans, as well as animals and the environment. They do this by prescribing what humans ought to do, in terms of rights and obligations. To summarize, moral standards deal with matters that can seriously harm or benefit, such as murder, theft, etc. They are reasonable, overriding, impartial, and associated with strong emotions, like guilt and remorse. Non-moral standards, on the other hand, refer to standards by which we judge what is good or bad, right or wrong in a non-moral way. Examples of these standards are standards of etiquette, by which we judge manners as good or bad. Standards which we call the law, by which we judge something as legal or illegal. And standards of aesthetics, by which we judge art as beautiful or ugly. Etiquette, law, aesthetics, or even religion, the non-moral standards, are not to be confused therefore with morality or the moral standards. As we can see, non-moral standards are matters of taste or preference. Hence, a scrupulous observance of these standards does not make a person moral, while their violation does not pose any threat to human well-being. To end, here's a useful example in distinguishing moral standards from non-moral ones. If a moral standard says, "Do not harm innocent people or don't steal," a non-moral standard says, "Don't text while driving," or "Don't talk while your mouth is full." If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and subscribe to our channel for more related content. Thank you, and see you in our next one.